Folks, as you understand, we have been in a broken housing market for 3 or 4 years now. I define the broken housing market as people are stuck. We have not had the move up buyer. We do not have, I'm selling house A and I'm buying house B. That creates an opportunity for folks since we are in a broken housing market. Lots of you are stuck because you have a low interest rate, 1.9, 2.9. I've heard all kinds of crazy numbers. There will be a time, I don't know if it's this year, next year, or the year after, that some of you are going to consider selling that house. I actually want to propose a question. Should you sell your house and use the proceeds to buy the next one? Or would you be better off keeping your existing property, keeping your existing interest rate, and turning it into a rental? Some of you might look at this as becoming a accidental landlord, which I am okay with. But the fact is, you are purposely doing it as a financial decision. Matt, we've been operating in a broken housing market for a long time. Not many people selling and buying the next one. The move-up buyer is dead, but it will come. Time will happen where people will consider selling and buying because life happens, more kids, job transfers, the like. So what do you tell people? Somebody sitting on a 2% 30-year mortgage, they come to you, they're looking at that next house. What are people doing? Are they selling, taking the money? Are they turning it into rentals? What are people doing?
Yeah, this is a great conversation, Mike. And, I've been doing loans since 2014. So it might be because of my book of business. I don't know. I seem to be having so many of these conversations with people. And I think the first thing for people to think about is don't fall into a trap of, I must do this, or because of low interest rate, I have to do this. Because like everything mortgage, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, like it's individual. Everyone's scenario is different. Everyone's goals are different. But these conversations are great in my eyes because when I have these conversations with people, I can see the light bulb go off. I can see them start to get some clarity around, well, I guess now that we're talking about it, and I'll give just some rough examples. We start talking, and the funny part is, even though the move up buyer, by transactions, is quote unquote dead in your words, right? Like, yeah, there's going to be people, and there certainly is. And I'm having conversations with them every day that regardless of market dynamics, you've got a third kid on the way and you're in 1,100 square feet. Like you're a move up buyer. And now you just have to figure out the best way to do it, the least painful way to do it for some of these people who wouldn't move if not for, some of these
life events.
Life events. And so, as an example, I talked to somebody and, their thought is, since I refinanced to 2.75% on 30-year fixed rate money, and that's such an asset, which agreed, I think both of us agree that's an asset. I have to keep this house. And my answer is not necessarily. I'm big on real estate. I love real estate. I really love low fixed rate debt real estate. Like the stuff that I have, I really like it. And you're going to have to pry it out of my hands to get me to sell it. But, I'll come across somebody who has owned this house and they're going to be able to sell it for $550. They only owe $185. And so they're in a great position. When they go to buy the $800,000 house, better neighborhood, better schools, more room for this growing family, the conversation starts to go, okay, given what you have in liquid funds, if you buy this $800,000 house and you put 5% down, which is a new primary, you can certainly do that. Here's what the mortgage looks like. Yeah. And without doing math, I'm gonna tell you, it's a big one.
It's a big number. It's a big number.
And sometimes you're like, I only owe 185. We got a 30-year fixed at 275. All in, my payment is only $1,750. Great. What would that property rent for? And because of California real estate dynamics, I'm talking to a lot of people in my local markets in California. Yeah, that would rent for $2,200, but you're going to have some deferred maintenance. You're going to have this, you're going to have that. That thing might kick off $200 a month when all is said and done, even if you've got a $450 spread between rent and payment, right? You got to account for vacancy and and expenses. And so you've got the choice of extract $300,000 in equity, throw that towards a new mortgage, which, what was the math I was doing recently? It's probably something like $2,000 a month that you're going to save. It's probably $650 a month per 100 grand or something at today's rates. And so if you're looking at a new mortgage and wow, taxes, insurance, everything is $6,000 a month, that's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Or extract the equity and throw it down. And now that new mortgage is $4,000, which feels a lot more manageable. How bad do you want to struggle for the sake of, and here's the rub, Mike. I'm not going to answer that question for people because on the other side of that, 20 years from now, that property's worth $800. It's paid off. It probably rents for $3,000 a month. It's great 30 years from now. But really, honestly, when I talk to growing families, you've got to make some long-term decisions that are for the good of your family, and, savings and staying out of debt and all that stuff is great. But sometimes, people peg themselves into this corner where I've got to keep this house because it's got a 2.75 interest rate. And in some of these cases, it's just like, why put yourself through that pain, and why put yourself in the mortgage that's going to feel like a big weight?
Well, I think there's so much in that, because I agree with you. I hear a lot of people just default to, hey, I have 30-year debt sub 3%. I'm going to keep that forever. And I think you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, it should be a math formula. Because again, if you need to trade up because you're having another kid, maybe you are getting married and you're blending families together and you just need the extra bedrooms, or whatever the reason, instead of getting a 5% down, which is your liquid cash today, if you could get a 50% mortgage, the math says do that. And let's also not forget the tax code, right? If you've lived in that house for greater than 2 years and you have, $250K in profit, or 500 if you're married, you could take that tax free, right? So you're even having the IRS tax code help you. Again, primary resident, lived 2 of the last 5 years. Talk to your accountant. But
I want to double down, and I'll let you continue, because that is something that's very important. Because again, I see this. People decide, I want to keep it. 3 years later, okay, now I want to sell it. So just to reiterate what Mike said, primary residence, you've lived in it for 2 of the last 5 years, you can exclude 250 for a single person, 500,000 for a couple in capital gains, meaning you bought it for 200, you sold it for 500 as a couple, 0 taxes. You want to make sure that when you make the decision, you make it within the time frame that allows you to do that.
Yeah, because again, if you lived in it for 2 years, you rented out for 4 years, you have lost that exclusion. Right.
Yeah.
That's a total of 6 years. So again, these are all things that you should look at your financial plan. I agree with you. When you look at real estate long-term, it says keep it, but I do think there's short-term decisions. And I think there is, it probably would shock people, but there are plenty of reasons you should sell a house that has a 1.9% mortgage if you need to trade up. But, then again, let's be clear on the other side. If you don't need the money, right, you're liquid, or you're changing, like, here's the deal. You're living in Sacramento. You're in a place that's $800,000 today, but you're getting transferred to Mississippi, where you can get into a house for 250 grand. You might want to keep Sacramento, right?
Yeah.
Different market, higher appreciation. These are all, it's just a math formula, and you need to make short-term and long-term decisions. Do not simply say, thou shalt keep house and rent because of lower mortgage. It's more complicated than that.
Yeah. And it depends on the house too. Some people are like, oh, that's cool. I can put a low down payment on the new one. I keep this old one as a rental. Some of your past primary residences don't make good rentals.
Yes,
they're just in an area where, wow, this thing is worth 900,000, but it won't rent for more than 2,800. Yep. You can probably deploy that 300 grand in equity into 2 different houses that each, provide cash flow versus this one. And so that's part of the consideration too. It's not just me have low debt, me keep house.
There you go. Folks, at the end of the day, you got to work with the professional that's willing to have these discussions with you, get into the details. Matt, where should people go?
Go to greatmortgagebroker.com, fill out the form. We're licensed in 48 states, and we're happy to help, especially those in the ORAC community. We're all one big happy family. Love to help you. So greatmortgagebroker.com.
There you go, folks. Go there, get started today. Matt, you're amazing. Take care.
Thanks, Mike.